Hey guys, welcome back to the All-Star Boxing Academy. This was our 9th episode. Good episode, by the way. And this is a massive week for All-Star Boxing Academy, where my stablemate Liam Wilson headlining his first show for No Limit. He's up against Matthias Rueda. This is for the WBO International Super Featherweight title, so huge fight for Liam. Also, our stablemate Ben Hussein is against Wes Kappa. So big night. That's on the 29th of June, and then I'm a couple days after, on the 2nd of July, I'm against Shiva from Fortitude Boxing. So hopefully you all can support us and the All-Star Boxing Academy crew. And thank you, and enjoy this episode. Alright guys, welcome back. My next guest on the podcast has had a total of 17 professional bouts, with 14 of those ending in the big KO. Currently sitting on the world rankings at number 28 now, but with his last impressive win, which was last week, should now bump him into the top 15 in the WBC World Ratings.
Yep.
He is the IBF Youth World Champion, the IBF Australasian World Champion, and the current WBC Australasian champion. That was better.
It was awesome.
So Steve The Viking Spark, bro, thanks for coming on.
Mate, thanks very much for having me firstly, and obviously thanks to the crew here at All Star for hosting it, and Benny and that, can't thank them enough.
Nah, easy man. Like when I so last week with your last fight, that was, I can't say the name right,
Apanung Khongsong.
Khongsong. So I had a quick little recap. I bit, this is off I was boxing. We'll watch this and we'll go into the performance. I think it was this one. Boom. Heavy. That was the third round.
Third round, yep. So 3 knockdown rule.
So I was there, me, Reese, and I was sitting next to Ozan.
Oh yeah.
When you walked
He's
out.
a good bloke, eh?
Yeah. And we were surprised how fast he was. Dude, he had quick hands. Yeah. He was a big super lightweight. He was taller.
He was big, yeah. A little bit skinny in the frame, but a lot taller.
But when he was punching fast hands, we were actually really surprised. And it didn't seem you were in trouble, but you were working out that speed.
Yeah. Because I probably had the same sort of shock as you. You know, I'd watched a few videos, and from seeing him, watching his jab and that, I was thinking, oh, it looks like a pretty slow, lazy jab. Like that's what I thought from previous videos I'd seen. And yeah, he come out in the first couple of jabs, he was firing with like fast and coming out crisp and coming back nice and high to his chin. So. Had to make that adjustment, and Brendan said, the legs is going to be the key in this fight. So just had to be very wary of how long and deceiving his arms were at the start, and he had fast hands.
Yeah, yep. And he had good combination flow as well. Keep using that jab. When I looked at his record, he's only had, now his second loss. Yeah. He lost to Josh Taylor.
Yeah. And look, he got stopped in the first round with a body shot, but after that fight, Josh Taylor said, even still to this day, he's the hardest puncher that he's been in the ring with, Khongsong. And I can vouch for that as well. He's definitely the strongest puncher I've been in the ring with. Very heavy-handed and very physically strong. So, like I said, the feet were going to be the key in that. And, if you look at Khongsong's record just at a glance, the opponents are very good though, yep. and he beat that the Japanese fighter Kondo, I think it was, to become the IBF mandatory. He's the only person to knock him out, and the Japanese fellow had been the distance with Sergei Lipinets and many other tough boys, nice. Like big strong punches, and Khongsong's the only one to knock him out. So we knew he had big heavy hands, and so we just knew to be sharp and on ready, on point.
So I found that clip I'll show you. This is Josh
Oh yeah,
Taylor.
that's the one. Yeah.
This is the one.
Right through my arm, so I knew it was a good shot.
Now, it was only 2 minutes and 41 seconds of it, but I'm going to put something to you. I like the look of him. He was big, he was rangy. Okay, he left himself a bit open when he lifted his elbows up, but he looked, I'm going to ask you, was he as heavy-handed as he looked?
100%, yeah. I could go as far as saying, I know people go, aye, right, you're talking a bit of nonsense here, but I could go as far as saying that's the heaviest puncher I've been in with. As a professional, very heavy-handed, because he came out straight away and stiff jab, and I thought he was quite strong. And then he lunged in with the 1-2, and he kind of half nicked his on the end of the shot. But never hurt us or nothing, but I felt the weight of it, straight away, so I knew he was very heavy-handed. So then that switched me on to take my time and set things up and be patient rather than going and try and land a heavy shot straight away. I was nice and patient and set that shot up, which come off the end of the break.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same. Like when he come out that crisp, I knew I had to sort of be on my game and set things up and not rush. Just if I was going to break him down and stop him, but I have to be down the stretch a bit more. And when I set things up, and like he said, when you feint and use your speed and your legs, that was when he become more open and he started, winging a bit more wilder and less, less calculated, a bit more careless.
So he definitely wasn't that stereotypical Thai fighter.
No, definitely
people
not.
like, he's fighting a Thai dude. Dude, he came to fight.
He did, yeah.
And even though when you dropped him a couple times, he was still dangerous.
Yeah, he was, yeah. And then Brendan was yelling out the corner like, Stevie, be calm, like he's still
calm.
And he did on the second one. I think I come back and he winged the right hand and half glanced me here. Like he was very dangerous the whole way through, yeah.
So me and Ozan were watching and we're like, dude, he's still dangerous, man. And that was that shot because you both hit each other at the same time.
Yeah.
So even though he was a bit out of it, when you both hit each other, he still kind of clipped you.
Yeah,
like, he was still on.
Yeah,
dangerous.
Definitely.
So, and I haven't seen a Thai boxer like that because they're all from a different sport.
Of course, yeah, and you get it like he's a full trained Thai, he full trained Thai boxer. He's done boxing his whole life. So, and when we signed this fight with them, they wanted an advance on their purse so they could travel to Bangkok and base a whole training camp out of Bangkok, So he took it serious, mate, and they were coming here to win, and he got up 3 times off the canvas or twice off the canvas, and, he was coming here to knock me out, no doubt about it.
Yeah. No, it was a good fight, and it was so cool to be there. And where does that place you now?
Yeah, look, it's all up to the WBC and what they come out with the rankings.
Was he
hoping
higher ranked than you at the time?
At the time, because he'd only have 2 fights back. He wasn't rated. He wasn't rated with any of the organisations in the top 15. So but being a former IBF Youth World, being a champion and fighting for the IBF title, he has high accolades with the bodies. So we're hoping. And Patrick Cusack from the WBC said it should give us a good rating. So
nice.
He's hoping. And mate, at the end of the day, if it doesn't, we'll keep working and keep moving. And we're talking to the IBF and the WBO, and my time will come. I'm getting up there.
Man, and it's been cool watching you do a thing. Like when your last fights, Jack Brubaker.
Yeah.
That was the fight when he walked out to Gen 1 Pony.
That was classic. I was trying not to break character in the ring, trying not to laugh at to keep my seriousness. He was so funny, and I've always liked Jack. We've always got along. So
that was an interesting fight because that was at welterweight.
I stepped up.
He stepped up.
Yeah, he was the current number 1, and there was people that weren't wanting to step up and fight him at welterweight, and I put my hand up straight away. And Brendan asked me, I said, "Let's do it. This makes sense. He's the number 1 in the country, and I think I can beat him. I think I had the movement to beat him at the time." And look, that was my first big step up to the big crowds, the big shows, and I shone.
That was a big show.
Yeah, it was massive, mate, down there in Wollongong. When Paul Gallen knocked out Lucas Brown, so it was a massive card. The Wollongong crowd were awesome.
Yeah. That fight, because it was interesting. When we see matchups, we're like, oh, how would this play out? Because we know you were the smaller boxer. First round, he got you.
He did, yeah.
Got you first round. That's where we're like, oh, and that's where you see the size difference.
For sure.
You can see it.
And Brendan did say, before that fight, he's got a deceivingly long right hand and it's stiff. And obviously another boy from Toowoomba that fought him was Chris George. And I was talking a lot before with Chris George, and I sparred him a lot in the lead up to that fight. And he said, mate, Brubaker can punch hard. He's got that deceivingly stiff hands, strong hands, but he is that up and down sort of stiff. But look, he caught me in the first round, and from then on, I won every single round, in my opinion. After that, I won the 7 straight after, and it switched me on for sure, and it's made me be, like I said with that tie, it's made me be on my game straight away. Like, you can get caught sleeping in this sport at the very start of a fight. It's so easy. So You know, you got to be on from the moment that bell rings.
And this is it's always interesting to see people that have not hit the canvas until a certain time. So, like when anyone gets dropped for the first time, you get to see who you are.
100%. And no one teaches you how to do that. Your coach doesn't say, okay, today we're going to teach you how to get up off the canvas and, you know, hit you with a baseball bat. And then now we'll go for another 7 rounds after. I hope my coach wouldn't do that anyway. Wouldn't be my coach. But, you know, like that's it. You get to find out who you are and what you're made of. And some crumple and some shine. And, you know, that's where we find out. And there's different levels of adversity, I believe, as well. You know, there's Marquez who got dropped 3 times in the first round against Pacquiao, the most dangerous fighter there was at the time. And in his mind, imagine sitting down after the first round thinking, I'm still going to win this fight. This is a world, you know, like the mental capacity and the adversity of that sort of thing. It's just, that sort of stuff resonates with me. And the reason I watch those sorts of things, because you got to have that in the back of your mind when you go into those sorts of wars, and hopefully you think you can do it.
Yeah. And you just don't know until you're in that position.
You don't know. You can say you can or you won't, but you don't know until it happens, eh? It's the craziest sport in the world, man.
It is. And this is why, again, I give, top level boxing, but this is why I give credit to anybody that jumps in those ropes, because you're facing your own fears. Yeah. You're building up all that courage to take a hit and the unknown, you know.
And it's more so about whether or not, like every fight I'm nervous. Like I'm always a very nervous person before I fight. I've gotten better as I've gotten older, more so just dealing with it, and probably the nerves are still the same, but I get better at dealing with it and not wasting the energy. So like when I fought Brubaker, I wasted so much energy before the fight, on the day of the fight, on the shit that wasn't needed. And now I'm really starting to get it down pat on where I'm expending my energy on those last 3 days in the lead up to the fight and the day of the fight. You know, not warming up too early before a fight, and because, you know, you're going out there for 8, 10, 12 rounds, whatever. You need to be storing up as much mental energy and physical energy as you can to give it all in that fight. So it's all learning experiences, and that was the biggest learning experience for me, was with Brubaker.
Yeah, nice. And you've started and stayed with the Toowoomba gym.
Yeah, Smithy's gym. Yeah, I've been there pretty much since I was 14, 15 year old.
So how did you get into boxing? What's your story?
I lived down a little country town called Crow's Nest, which is further out from Toowoomba, and one of my mates just said, yeah, come have a go. And I didn't really think much of it back then. I was like, when you fight, do you put your headgear on? And, you know, I used to take the piss out of it. But I went along and never really took it serious for the first part. But then, I just sort of took a liking to it, mate. And then I started at the local Toowoomba PCYC with Neil Palmblad and Brandon Wood back in the day. That's when I'd come to the tournaments and see like fellas like you fighting, you know, when I was just a young kid. So I'd see you boys fighting and you'll fight like Sammy Williams and those fellas like that, you know, and I was just a kid. So, you know, that's what I grew up seeing. And then I obviously switched to Smithy's gym when I was about 15 with Brendan, you know.
Yeah, nice. And how many amateurs did you have?
38. Yeah, not too many, just 38. Yeah, I think I won 26, 28, something like that, yeah.
And this goes back to what you're saying before about still trying to perfect the formula of a training camp.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's forever ongoing, it's evolving.
Yeah, you learn what to keep and you learn what to throw out.
So, still learning.
100%. You never stop learning. And anyone that thinks they know it, they're arrogant and they're going to get beat, or, you know, it's not going to go their way, because you have to continue to be a student of the game. Constantly. You look at all the elite athletes in any sport, you have to continue to grow, because when you get to that elite, we're talking the half percenters, the 1%ers, you know, that make the biggest difference. At the start, you see these ones that have such a physical advantage, or their feet, or they win on that. But when you get to that top level, it's about that minute, tiny bit of skill, you know, when those 1%ers. So you're always trying to look for that little bit extra in every camp, I believe.
You've always been a good talker when I'm watching the press conferences and when you're having interviews. You can always articulate your sentences. I'm not saying that all boxers can't, but you've always been one I've enjoyed listening to, because you can talk the walk. A lot of people will kind of struggle when cameras and lights are all up in their face, because it's the real deal. It's
for sure.
It's hard, people freeze. But I've always enjoyed you talking.
Thank you, mate.
Man, so walk me through the day you got the phone call about Tim Tszyu.
I was actually, as I told him, I was at work pouring beers. You know, I used to work in a pub, and you know, after the Brubaker fight, went on a bit of a holiday, and wasn't training too much. Like I was doing one, and I had a bit of a sore hand after that fight as well, and so my fault. And I was on the beers probably 8 days before, and then when I got the call, I think it was like 6 or 7 days out. I think it was on the Wednesday, so 7 days. yeah, I was just at work and Brendan's like, how's it going, mate? And I was like, this is weird. Brendan wouldn't just be calling me out of the blue. And he's like, oh, how's your hand? I was like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, he's like, oh, good enough to fight? I was like, oh, no, why? What was that? He's like, oh, what about fight Tim Tszyu? I was like, piss off. I thought he was joking. And he's like, no, I'm being serious. And first thing I said, well, how much is the purse? That's the most important question.
Can you disclose that or no?
Nah, better not. I'll tell you off camera, yeah.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty lucrative.
Yeah, it was good. What some people thought, and I only thought it was like far more than that. So, mate, it was good. And I weighed up the pros and cons. And look, I wasn't fit. I knew I was only fit for maybe 3 rounds. And
you were filling in? You were that one that saved
I was
the
the
show?
opponent, and I hadn't been doing any training or anything like that. So it was just sort of, I'm going to go down there and have a crack with what I got. And my mind was, I know I'm a very hard puncher, so I'm a chance. And it was more so of, if I look back in 5 years, am I going to regret this decision? And I think it's important, life throws these sort of opportunities at you. And whether they go your way or not, I think it's important to keep jumping at them because, failure is where we grow. And I also did learn a lot from that as well, and about staying in the gym, being consistent, not letting yourself get out of shape too much after fights. So, it was an important lesson for me as well. But yeah, look, we jumped at the fight and we flew straight down the next day. And look, I had a crack for 3 rounds. It was what it was. I just didn't have the fitness to sort of stay in there. And obviously, jumping up 2 weight classes as well doesn't help. But look, I hold my head high. I hold my head very proud.
You jumped in there, and I bet a lot of other people received that call and they all turned it down.
Yeah.
So who saved the day? It was Steve Sparks.
Yeah, and look, the whole country got behind me, and I've gained a massive following from it. And I win, lose or draw, I knew I was going to gain a lot more from it than what I was going to lose, no matter what, either way. But yeah, mate, it happens, and it's skyrocketed my career a lot further.
Nice. And that you're living proof of we all have to, like all professional athletes, not just boxing, we have to live and breathe this life because we can receive that call.
At any time.
Yep.
It's not a seasonal sport or anything like that. This is all year round. There's fights all year round. And also too, it can be when your biggest opportunities come and when you need to take them with both hands, when it is 3 weeks, when it is, 2 weeks, because they're the Cinderella stories that people talk about, how they were at work or doing this when they got the call and they jumped in and won the fight, So that's when your life can really change. So it's important for, the young athletes that are listening and coming up, or the ones that are, still going through their career, to always be ready or try to be doing something every day. I think it's important.
And it shows that, look, I've had a few losses. We've had losses. It's not the end of the career.
No.
So it's skyrocketed you still.
For sure.
And I think a lot of Australians have that zero mentality.
All boxers do around the world. And I think it should be disregarded when you're talking about making decent fights, or when you're making good matches, because it's not always about this 0-0 all the time that's going to make a good fight. You can look at Gaddy and Ward, like the records weren't great, but, especially when they fought too, but unbelievable fighters. Gaddy would give a great fight all the time, So I think it's important that, not to worry about that all the time. And this is a thing I've seen too. Like in school, they say, if your child's failing in this class, it's no good. If they're failing here or they're not up to this standard, it's no good. It's like, well, hang on. Why do we teach people that failure is no good? That's the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
Failure is so good because that's how we learn and grow. If you never fail, how do you improve? How do you grow? So I think failure is important, especially at a young age. And that's why I want my son to do amateur boxing, because there's a lot of disappointment that comes in with that amateur boxing. You're 12 years old, crying in the car park because you just lost the novice titles. Like, there's no shitter feeling at that time. But, we get older and those things grow us.
It's character building.
It is, 100%.
All of that. And you're right, and people do fear the disappointments, the failures, but that's where the secret is. That's the secret ingredient of all success.
It is, yeah. You look at all the great people who've succeeded. Failure is a part of it.
Yep, impressive. So before this fight, I saw you had a training camp in Thailand.
Went to Thailand. Yeah. So we fought River Daz in March.
Yeah.
And I was keen to go straight again. I said, let's get it going. Like, let's get cracking again. And I was signed to fight Blake Minto on an ace boxing card.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I was signed to fight him, and so we went to Thailand, and for a training camp. I actually had a fight over there, and look, it was more of a keep busy fight, and he had a record of 3-1. It was just more of a keep the body moving, and while the training camp was there.
Did you post that?
Yeah.
Sure? Oh,
yeah, we put up the win and everything like that, and it was at the end of the training camp, which was good. So, look, it was a great camp, mate. I grew up watching Michael Zeraffa, obviously, who trained at Smithy's gym there, and they did all their training camps over there for his world title fights. And I remember being like 14, 15, thinking, how freaking cool is this? Like, you know, like watching his videos and running in the streets, doing that run up that Pattaya Hill there, and man, and then I was like pinching myself. I'm like, I'm here doing this. Like, I'm living out my dream. I'm doing what I, looked up to a bloke doing, and it was great, mate. It's a really good camp.
And it's nice to kind of get away from home because it is like a work trip.
It is. You got a lot of life, life duties here back at home, and it's easy to get caught up with hanging out with friends and going to the movies and doing all this. But when you're over in Thailand or in a camp anywhere without the family and that, it gets hard. It does, like physically and mentally too, because you're alone. And I think that's what creates that fighter mentality as well, being away and being hungry for it. And, you wake up, you train, you go back to sleep, you eat, you wake up, you train, you're sparring. You're sparring animals, like you're sparring blokes over there who want to take your head off. So, I mean, the first day we rocked up, a second day we were there, we rolled into this gym and we were like, I was getting called out by these different Thais because Brennan's trying to line up sparring and we couldn't speak Thai, obviously. And they're like, you pointed to me. And I'm like, okay. Got my gloves on. They're like, no. And they've given us their gloves. They're 22-ounce gloves, massive. And I'm like, fuck. And they're all standing around in the ring. And, man, we're sparring and he's a southpaw and they're 5-minute rounds as well. Wow. So they were doing 5-minute rounds and as you back to the rope. And I like to move a bit, so they're pushing you back into the center. I'm like, this is so wild, And I ended up, but that's that stuff. That's that adversity and dealing with like an environment that is so wild. And if you can deal with that there, you can do it in the ring. Like whatever happens in that ring, I've dealt with this before. I can pull this out when I need to.
You're on their turf. They're like, beat this white boy.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I ended up stopping him. I ended up stopping him with a big right hand. And there was the main Thai trainer who was banging up in the white box. Like they had this big box he sits in, and he was yelling at him because he didn't want to spar anymore with me. And the coaches were up him. So it was good. It was a really good trip.
Wow.
But then the day we got back from, literally the day we landed from Thailand, Blake Minto pulled out from a positive COVID test. I think it was like 3.5 weeks out, 4 weeks out. And, all very well. If he didn't feel like he was going to be able to prepare for the fight, pulled out. And they were talking about rescheduling it to like July. And I'm like, fuck, man, I can't wait till July. Like that's another, 6 weeks on top, 4 weeks on top. I want to go now. And I said to Brennan, who's the best international you can get me? And got me Khongsong, mate, like a former world title challenger to Josh Taylor. It worked out perfectly. So we're very happy it went that way.
Yeah, nice. Wow. I saw another video. It was when you were during the build-up of Tim Tszyu. It was Brubaker.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying he hits hard.
There's been very few occasions where someone's hit me and I thought, I knew about it. Stevie was one of those people.
He's got one good
out of
chin on him,
my 22 professional fights,
you were banging him.
Steve Spark and Larry Siwu are the two hardest punches I've ever fought. Obviously, everyone knows that I've got this unbreakable jaw and chin, and I sort of walk through punches, and I truly believe he was a harder puncher than Tim, whether or not it's 8-ounce gloves, we're wearing smaller gloves, but every time Stevie hit me, it just rattle you to your bones and shake your teeth. And again, he hit me in like the third round. I'm like, blew out my eardrum. I had sort of 10 stitches in my ear, split my ear apart, had blood pouring out my ear in the third round. So all these things come into effect, and he fought a great fight against me. He's a bit smarter than me on fight night, and again, if he sort of does similar thing to what he did against me and box and move and sit down on his punches when he needs to, and he's got that power, anything's possible. It's boxing. Yeah, Tim's an intimidating figure standing opposite you. He controls the distance and the range.
Good fight. Again, Tim was the heavier boy.
Yeah.
Heavy, you got that late call up. You showed up. You had to do what you did what you had to do, and you gained.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy I did it, man. Still to this day, and get people still come up to me now and want to talk. I think it's great. You know what I mean? I jumped in and saved the day, and it hasn't affected my career.
Yeah,
I'm back at 140 pounds now. I'm absolutely killing it. I'm on a 3 knockout win, streak. I'm about to enter the top 15 world rankings. Like, life's good. Things are going good, and I'm happy.
So I saw you posted a photo with Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
Can you disclose anything or not?
Yeah, look, he funny. I was like, woke up on.
Did you know he was coming to have a meeting?
Yeah, like the kind of the day before. So I woke up on Monday, like I'd fight Saturday and chilled out on Sunday, and woke up Monday morning like tired as, looking at it, and I was like, Eddie Hearn sent you a follow, and I was like, hang on a minute, and then I was like, sent me a message. I was like, hey, what? Anyway, I got in, he's like congratulated me on the fight, and he said thanks very much. And then I was like chatting to Brendan that afternoon. He said, oh yeah, he said, I'm just emailing him now, and he's coming up to the gym tomorrow to have a meeting with us. So I was like, oh, bloody brilliant. And mate, he drove all the way up to Toowoomba. He thought it was about half an hour from Brisbane. Didn't realise it's about 2 hours up the road. Anyway, so he's positive.
What did you say when you first met him? What was he? He's charismatic still?
Mate, he's exactly like he is on all his interviews. He's charismatic, he's funny, he's a likeable guy, and he knows his boxing. He's the best promoter in the world.
He is.
So it was a bit of a surreal moment, sitting there with him having a coffee in Smithy's gym in Toowoomba. It was very cool, and I dare say it won't be the last one we have. So it was really good, and we had some good conversations about some fights. And look, it's still early days. Like he's coming to Australia, as people know. They're going to be doing 4 to 6 shows a year with DAZN, and Matt, I think that just ups the game for everyone as well. Again, like all the boys that are already promoting here in Australia, it's going to make everyone up their game, and it's going to create more fights and bigger fights, and you'll see a lot more of the top champions in Australia facing each other, I believe. So it's exciting, and like you said, records or not, I don't think it matters. It's just about putting the good fights together, and we're excited. We'll have to see what happens. Still early days, and I can't say what's happening just yet. But look, we're hoping that later on in the year we can announce something. But at the moment it's just back into the gym and training.
And the fact that you had a coffee with him, that shows the direction you're in.
Yeah, it's
that would have been a
pretty
surreal
cool
moment.
It was, man. It was so surreal, and he's walked in. He's like, oh, can I have he said, I keep calling them Americanos, but they're long blacks. He was like, yeah, long black. So he tried out the Smithy's gym coffee, and mate, he was good to chat to him. He was awesome.
Yeah, wow. I saw that he's Liam Paro and
Brock Jarvis.
Brock
great fight.
So again, he's got that power to make these sorts of fights happen. And you're right, it's going to up the game of all the other promoters here, because before the podcast we were talking about just the competition between everybody, and just how everyone's trying to protect their own boys, and they're just being so sheepish with everything. And then here comes Eddie Hearn, and it's like, yep, this is happening.
And I think we're going to see a lot more of that with fighters. And I don't think promoters should be worried or scared or threatened. But like he said, about him being here, I think it's at the end of the day, we're doing this for the fighters. For us, we are the sport, we are the entertainment. That we are delivering for the fans. People spend their hard-earned money to watch entertainment, to watch fights, and good entertaining fights, good evenly matched fights. So whether it's cross promotions or this boy fighting this boy's team, and it doesn't matter. It's about us making the sport better in Australia, because at the moment we're still a little bit behind the rest of the world. So the more we can fight each other here and build the stable of Australian fighters before we head over. Not building them up on people that aren't going to test us, So I think it's important that this is happening.
Nice. What do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, mate, I want to be someone that's, remembered for just giving people a good fight every time. I feel like I do that. I feel like I go out there and I try my absolute hardest every time. And whether I win, lose or draw, I just went out there and gave it my all. And someone that took on every fight, someone that fought everyone and anyone. Like I've always been about that, and that's what the sport is. It's about testing myself. Back when I was younger and before I won a Queensland title, it was more about like probably proving it to myself, and it still is. Like it's like every time I win, I'm like, oh shit, I did that. Like it's like a proud pat myself on the back, and it's like, oh, okay, let's see if we can go a step further. And then it's like, oh, okay, Australian title. I was like, that's cool. And then it's the next one and the next one, and then next minute you're having a coffee with Eddie Hearn and talking about bigger fights. So it's crazy. Like I just keep doing every fight, and I'll just see how far I can take it. I hope I can be a world champion. I believe I can. I believe I'm born to be a world champion. But look, if I fall short, I just want to be someone who's remembered, for giving their all in the ring every single time.
Nice. And then once you've left it all out, you'll be satisfied.
100%, leave it all in there. Not wanting more from the sport, mate. And I think that's, I haven't gone too much into thought with it. And you have been lately, about what's after the sport of boxing, because that's a big thing with fighters. And, knowing what's after the sport, because it can be a bit of a lonely place, I imagine. I've thought about it at times, like, what would I do after? I have no idea. I don't know nothing else. I don't have a trade. I don't know anything, you know, like I just know how to fight, and I'm pretty good at it. So I'll keep doing it till I can. And hopefully by those last couple of years, I have a sort of an exit plan and I have something in place. Or, you know, like I've always wanted to train fighters myself and become a trainer. But look, you just don't know what the future holds.
We're not there yet.
No, that's it. That's why I said, you know, I'm going to focus on this bit now and wait till the end there. But like you said, you've got to have that exit plan, and, you know, in a place, you know, the last couple of years there.
Yep. Who was Stevie Sparks outside of boxing?
I don't feel like I have a life outside of boxing, man. It's crazy. Like I had that week off there, you know, after my last one, and I actually went away with the missus and the kid, and it was good to do, because even when I'm training and, you know, it's every day, it's twice a day, and you finish a session, I'm like, okay, what do I need to eat? Do I need to go have a sleep? Because my next session's at this time. And then it's like just everything is revolved around my boxing. So hard. And even on the weekends, like it's like, okay, I got this on the Saturday, but then I got to spar on the Tuesday. So the Monday we'll do this. You know, it's just my life revolves so much around boxing. And like I said, since a few learning curves, I've decided to, you know, really structure it in a way that I do it properly and I do it professionally. And that's how you have to be. You have to live in the gym. And look, unfortunately, you do miss out on certain things, weddings and friends' birthdays and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm probably still trying to figure out who I am. If I take me away from boxing, it's hard to do, because boxing is me and I am boxing. You know, that's what I've done since I was 13, 14. So it's still a bit of a challenge for me to identify who I am from outside of boxing. You know, I right now, everything about me is revolved around it. So I think boxing's pretty much it for the time being.
What are you doing in your downtime?
Sleep. I like going out to my parents' place. I got a little bit of farm now. I like going out there and going shooting when I can. And
nice.
When I come home from the gym and I get that little bit of a time to spend with my boy, that's awesome. You know, he's 9 months old now, and like today, come home from the gym doing PTs, and then I take him outside and we hang out in the grass in the sun.
Nice.
And, you know, like that's important to me, and I like that time. And I'm very lucky, you know, because our life as a fighter, we are training so much and so flat out all the time, but we also get that little bit of a free time during the day where I can be at home and I can help out a bit, or I can hang out with him. You know, I'm at that gym from that morning time and then the night time, or when I travel. So I'm at home more than someone who is working away in the rigs, or, you know, who's working 10 or 12 hour days, you know. So I'm very lucky on that behalf.
And you earned that.
Yeah.
As a fighter, we earn that extra time that we get
For
to
sure.
have.
You know, you occasionally get people that say, oh, it must be nice. I'm like, must be nice. Come do a week in my shoes, you know, like it's, you know, I've put myself in the position because I worked hard when I was 14, and when you were going to those parties and when you were doing, I wasn't, you know, I was in the gym working and I was training, and, you know, I'm very lucky. I got a whole town there behind me, and, you know, half this country, and I want this whole country behind me, you know, and I got great sponsors and supporters, and, you know, it's all just growing, man. It's still early days.
Yeah. People see the glamour side of boxing, and the limelight, but to be honest, there's reactions, there's, you know, all the hard sparring, go home sore, there's
and you go through the emotional roller coaster, and people don't, like you said, they see the glitz and the glamour, but I like to congratulate every fighter, you know, who makes it to the press conference and then the day before, like, good on you for the ones that are here. You didn't pull out, you've made it, you and your team have got here, and you went through the ups and downs of training camp where you're thinking, am I going to win this fight? I'm going through this, and there's so much emotional stuff that goes, and physical, that you go through. So to be able to, any fighter, get to the post and get in there and perform, you know, accolades to them and well done, because it's the hardest and loneliest sport in the world. As much as you have a good team behind you, you know, like you said, when you go home and you're in your own thoughts about things, you know, that's when it's the hardest.
Well, man, you know, I've enjoyed watching you over time, from the amateurs to the pros, and it's still probably just beginning. It's still only beginning. So,
and also too, like, you know, big thanks to you, you know, before that last fight, jumping in and helping out, like sparring, mate. That was a big help to me. You had that very tall, fast style for me, so that, you know, it was awesome. And I grew up like watching you fight as a kid, you know, so it was pretty cool to be able to, you know, share the ring with you a couple of times, and, you know, hopefully we can do it a couple more. But thanks very much for that and the lead up. Really appreciate it.
That. And look, you know, I enjoy doing this too, and I'm still that active fighter. So I really want to maximize my life in the boxing world because I love boxing. It's still an art that I really appreciate, and I'm still living it. And I want to use this to really articulate that in a way where viewers that are outside of the boxing get to know who the fighters are, what we go through, what is a day in the life of a boxer.
And, you know, it's there is that bit of a stigma around fighters, because, certain ones and people, and we've all made mistakes through life, but even sports people that, we aren't perfect and we're not robots, even though we are in the media and we are this, we aren't always perfect every single day of our life, and we're just like everyone else. And like you said, people get to have a view of that and get just a little bit of a glimpse what it might be like to be a fighter.
Brother, thank you
very much.
Here. I know you got to go back to Toowoomba now.
2 hours down and then 2 hours back. It's good.
Brother,
I love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Easy, bro.